Travel history helps, don't get me wrong. It makes it easier for them to determine or make a decision on your application. But when you don't have a travel history, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that it makes it more difficult. So I remember the first time I applied for a US visa myself. So I'd been doing the UK, like I said, actively since 2002. And I was feeling like, oh yeah, I'm the London chick, the vibe here and there. And I think I got bored. I'm that kind of person. I'm very restless and I get bored easily. So I got bored and I'm like, okay, so what's the next? The all of the United Kingdom is like I know like the back of my hands. What's the next? So during university days, I tried Schengen here and there. I went to Italy, I went to Germany, but and I went to Turkey. But it was not just, I was like, okay, so what's the next, like, what's the next thing to conquer? So I tried the US visa. And I remember that when I was applying for the US visa, I mentioned it to a few people, and they said to me that, oh, you won't get the visa. That usually when people go to the US embassy, they don't get the visa the first time. The first time they get a refund. Then when they apply again, then they might get, an approval. So I'm like, okay, well, so I don't believe that there's nothing I can do. I'm that kind of person. I know growing up, they used to call me small but mighty. And I remember my dad, I mentioned it to him then, that I wanted to go to the US. This was in 2007, just after I finished my call to bar law school. And I remember then that I mentioned it to my dad that I would like to go to the US. And he says, oh, yeah, he's got a brother in the US. And luckily for me, his brother was in Nigeria then. So he took me to his brother. And the brother just said, so what the story I'm saying here is going to help my number 4 question. Because number 4 question is, can you get a US visa without anybody inviting you? So yeah, that's where I'm going with this. And then I remember it was UBA that used to get the visa fees then. So I paid visa fees. Before I paid, my dad took me to, his brother, and I mentioned it to him. And he was like, so I'm going to do a quick Yoruba here. Oh, Malaya, fellow America. The way these guys are there, they just look at you in Nigeria like, maybe I was being too ambitious. He's been in the US like all his life. And I think he only just started coming to Nigeria after like 30 years that he couldn't come. So it was like, And, I was a bit like offended, like, oh my liar, what does that mean? So at that moment, I was like put off. But my dad just said, she likes to travel, she's adventurous, just let her go. And he was like, okay. He was going to invite me. He was going to give me this and that. And true to his word, right there, he gave me a photocopy of his passport, the biodata page. And then he scribbled something on a paper, like letter of invite, what it should look like and all of that. And when he did, he said to me that I should go and type it out, and then I should bring it back to him. And then he would help me sign it, and I would take it to the embassy and everything. And this, don't forget, I said this was in 2007, and we didn't have so much of mobile phones. I'm not sure he even had a phone when he came to Nigeria then. But I had a phone, obviously. So, and after that, I couldn't reach him. My dad was like, oh, he doesn't think he has a number. That was like 3 days after I'd done everything he asked me to do. And lo and behold, I kept pestering my dad. So 3 days after, we went to his place again. And on getting to his place where he was staying, we were told that, oh, he went back to the US the day after we came there. So it was like a rude shock, like, okay, this guy was actually going back to the US like the day after. Meanwhile, he told me that I should go ahead and I should go and type this letter and bring it back for him to sign for me. So I felt really bad, but my dad was like, don't worry, I'll call him in the US and he will tell us what to do. And then we spoke to him in the US, and It was like, ah, no, 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 it doesn't matter. That she just scan it to him. It will sign and it will scan it back, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I said, okay. So I did that. I typed, I scanned it to him. And we kept talking back and forth. Then it was BlackBerry days. So it was more like pinging. So I had his pin. So I was pinging him and, he was responding to me. And then, lo and behold, it was like 2 days before my visa interview, and I kept sending messages and it wasn't responding. I kept sending messages, it wasn't responding. The day before my interview, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do. I kept, and I needed to submit my DS 160 form, but I just couldn't. So the night before, I just told my dad, I don't need your brother. So I just went on the form, I booked a hotel, and I was very nervous, but I just did it. So I got to the U.S. Embassy at Walter Carrington that next morning, and the visa officer, was asking me questions. What do you do? I'm a lawyer. I work in this firm, and I was like, okay. So why the U.S.? And for me, before she started asking that question, it was like seeing her. I just paid her a compliment, the brooch she had on, and I think after that it was just easy peasy because we became like friends. So she just said, okay, so do you have any friends or family in the United States? And I just thought about it that this uncle that I don't even know where he is, if I now mention him or they tell me to go and look for him, I just said, no, I don't. And she was like, oh, okay. So where are you going to be staying? I said, I'm looking at an extended stay. But yeah, I would see what I can do from there. She was like, okay, that's fine. That's pretty much. And then she issued the visa. So this shows you that the number 4 questions, must you have anybody inviting you before you get your US visa approved? Absolutely not. So I got my first US visa approved without anybody inviting me. And I was just fresh out of the university. I think my job then was paying like maybe 45K or something. The law firm I was working then, I remember I was working with Bamidele, Ibirunke and Co. because I just transferred from the Ministry of Justice, and I was getting like 45K then, I remember. And I got the visa without having anybody to invite me. So you don't need anybody to invite you. And I've helped a lot of people with their visa application process without having anybody in the US until now. I have a brother that is a US citizen. I have 2 brothers that actually live there. They're citizens. And I've never even mentioned them. I don't talk about them. When I apply for my visa, I mind my business. Just like I say to my daughter. You just say, I'm sitting here, I'm minding my business. So yeah, I mind my business. I've got friends. So when they ask me, oh, do you have friends or family there? Of course, I don't lie. I say, yes, I do have friends or family there. But I won't be staying with them. I would rather just do my thing, Go see them, visit them, but I need my own space and I do my own thing. And even at the point of entry, they always seem to understand that everybody needs their space. So yeah, it makes sense. So to number 4 question, you do not need to have anybody invite you before you get a US visa. And then number 1, when it says that, can I get a US visa without travel history? And like I said, it is not only the US visa, any kind of visa, you can get it without travel history. All you have to do is just prepare yourself and do your due diligence. Number 2 question is, does the ban mean I can't apply for any other visa? Good question, because I've seen a number of people make this mistake. So it's not even a ban alone. Some people a refusal. So let's say, for example, now I'm trying to apply to go to the UK, and then I apply and I get a refusal. I see many people do it, that when they get a refusal, instead of trying out other countries to see what they can do, they sit with this UK. And then you get a refusal saying maybe January, and then you go back and you apply, say September. Nothing has changed. Because really, if you read this, or they tell you that, if your situation has changed, you can apply for this visa again. That means there's something that they're doubting about you. maybe you don't have enough ties, maybe they don't believe your documentation to be genuine enough, and they have their reservations. So, or maybe they feel like you don't even earn enough for you to say, you know what, I have this kind of money to spend on a 2 weeks or a 3 weeks vacation, because traveling has never been cheap. But guess what? In the last 1-2 years, it's gone like 10 times more expensive than it used to. So imagine yourself, you want to travel, and you have been talking about traveling since dollars was like $250. And then you keep saying, if I want to travel, that's like $1,000. It's a lot of money. That $1,000 then was like 250K. Now that $1,000 is almost 2 million. So the more you put it away or put it aside, the more it gets. So when you put it off, it gets more expensive, because unless something happens and there's a miracle and Naira gains some miraculous kind of strength, then it makes it easy for us. But at this rate, where to $1 Naira is like, it's 1,680, and then to pounds is like 2,020. It's a lot. I remember that for the longest time, pounds used to be 250 and dollars used to be 180. That was it. It was, I don't know, even 2023, when I was in the US with my children, dollars was like 500, but we still got like 600, but we still got the bank rate, and the bank rate we got for like 4 something, and it was like I was very grateful to have 400 and something to $1. But the black market was asking for like 600 something, almost 700 even. And now we don't even have bank rate or black market anymore. It's one parallel market. And $1 is, so you can just imagine, okay, I'm traveling with my kids and we are looking at spending like $2,000. In 2023, it meant that $2,000 would have spent with the bank rate maybe like 850, 880, less than 900,000. That's $2,000. If I wasn't going with the bank rate, I was going with black market, it would have been like a 1.4, less than 1.5. But guess what? $2,000 now is more than 3 million Naira. It's almost 4 million Naira. So don't put it off and say, I don't have enough money now. Maybe I'll go next year. It doesn't get cheaper. So if you have a ban or you get a refusal from one country, it doesn't stop you from applying to other countries. You can go ahead and apply. The only thing that you cannot do if you have a ban is that you cannot apply to that country that issued the ban. And it's always for a specific period. It's either 5 years or 10 years. So it depends. Make sure you look at it so you know what you're doing. I'll take a short commercial break now. Don't go anywhere, guys. I'll be back soon.
I only do, every day, showers of blessing rain on me. She no money where you want, I'll be on
on the 103.5 FM.
gbogbo onínáwó pátá tó fi mọ́ gbogbo aláṣẹ chicken tẹ́ fẹ́ lò bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó JMG's ni ẹ máa bọ̀ ẹ má wulẹ̀ làágùn jìnnà mọ́ JMG frozen foods ni ẹ máa bọ̀. Oh yes, whatever occasion it is, chieftaincy ceremony, housewarming, naming, birthday party, or whatever occasion it is, JMG frozen foods has got your back for whatever number of chickens you may desire. All caterers, worry less, as JMG is there for you to take care of your chicken supplies, be it whole chicken or in pieces. JMAGs. JMAGs will cut, will pack, and deliver to wherever you want it. Ajẹ́pẹ́tẹ́ bá ti ń ronú náwó ẹ ṣá máa ronú JMAGs fún irúfẹ́ iye chicken tẹ́ bá ń fẹ́. Bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó kò sí wàhálà kankan. Ẹ kàn sí JMAG Frozen Foods lẹ́ni ní plot 2 block F number 6 Olúbàdàn Avenue Olúyọ̀lé Estate lẹ́bàá Fumac Pharmacy Ìbàdàn tàbí lẹ́ka àwọn tó wà ní off New Garage Akala Expressway lẹ́bàá Anchor Mall Kátó Dèrè Akari Junction Ìbàdàn. Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ pè 09062864238 tàbí 09062968870. Think party chickens, think JMAGs.
The United Nations, in collaboration with Honor 103.5 FM, is pleased to invite the general public to the 2025 World Interfaith Harmony Week Conference and Awards, taking place at the prestigious Trenchard Hall University of Ibadan on the 5th of February 2025, starting from 10 a.m. This annual global event, which celebrates peace, unity, and understanding among diverse religions every first week of February, comes with the theme, the love of the good and the love of the neighbors. Sub-theme, peace for our time. The distinguished speakers are His Excellency Engineer Seyi Makinde is a special guest of honor, while His Excellency Senator Otumba Gbenga Daniel is the chairman of this momentous event. Other eminent guests are His Eminence Alhaji Dr. Muhammad Sahad Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Reverend Dr. Daniel Oko, National President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, royal fathers and prominent religious stakeholders, which shall be conferred the prestigious United Nations Apostle of Peace and United Nations World Interfaith Harmony Gold Awards for significant contribution for global peace and interfaith harmony. The date is 5th of February 2025. Trenchard Hall University of Ibadan is the venue. World Interfaith Harmony Conference and Awards. Don't you miss it. Powered by Honor 103.5 FM. So mark your calendars and be part of this transformative event at Trenchard Hall University of Ibadan on the 5th of February 2025, starting at 10 a.m. Together, let's promote interfaith harmony. The host is Reverend Dr. Philip Bukola Oyewale, while His Eminence Reverend Dr. Samson Chuko Ayokunle, the past president of the Christian Association of Nigeria and the board chair of Honor 103.5 FM, is the chief host. For more information, please call Sheung on 080-7777-4880 or tune into Honor 103.5 FM for more information. See you there.
Honor 103.5 FM. Honor 103.5 FM.
My blessing come now. Favor fall down on me. Goodness and mercy follow me every day. Everything when I touch for this life, anything when I want. She not my joy, she not push you.
Thank you for staying tuned. You're back onto Honor 103.5 FM, and this is still Travel Talk with for me. And before the short commercial break, I was talking about question and answers. I was answering questions that people have been asking, and we talked about how it is possible for you to get a visa approval at the U.S. Embassy, even if you have never been out of Nigeria before. Like I always say, the U.S. Embassy, they don't believe in documents. They just, your DS-160, if you have tried to apply at the U.S. Embassy before, you wouldn't know what a DS-160 is. A DS-160 is the application form that you fill out online. And I always say that that's like 70% of your interview. 30%, is the interview that they have with you actually. And that's pretty much how they make their decision. The interview is always between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. It's never more than 3 minutes unless there's something crucially wrong. So yes, if you get all your facts right, you're confident, you fill that your application form properly, and you can defend the answers that you're providing, then I think you are pretty much on your way to getting an approval. So the second question, and I did use that opportunity to answer question 4 as well, which says that, is it possible to go to the US even if you don't have anybody inviting you? And it's not only the US, like the first question to any country at all. I have never had anybody invite me to any country, and I've been to 17 countries, and I've never had an invite. I just go. I like to go to this country, and I just go online, find out how to go about the application, where the embassy is, do my research, my hotel reservation, and I go. So you don't have to have anybody there. Then the question 2 was that, does a ban mean that, you can't apply for any other visa? And I went on to say, no, that's not the case. And it's not about a ban alone. Even when you have a visa refusal, you can still go ahead and apply for visas from other countries. The ban is just for that country that issued the ban. So let's say you apply for a Schengen visa now. Even for Schengen visa, that's the good part. If you say, for example, you apply to a country like Portugal and you get a ban, the ban is not a ban from Schengen areas, is a ban from Portugal. So you can opt tomorrow and then go to Italy to apply for a visa. But the thing is, most of the Schengen areas, they share information because their borders are open to one another. So you can just imagine you apply to Portugal, you get a refusal and a ban, and then you try to apply to another country, say like Spain or Italy or France. Well, in the application form, they would ask you, do you have a Schengen visa? Have you ever been refused a visa? And then you go like, yes. Then they ask why. So when you say that you have a ban, that's a red flag right there. So I don't know what that would do for you. So I might want to stay away from that area if I were you. But if you have a ban from a particular country, it doesn't mean that you cannot apply for any other visa, just like a refusal too. It doesn't mean that you cannot apply at any other country. It just means that country for that time you cannot. My third question was, my third question is, I'm trying to read it here, was recently denied a UK visa. Why? Okay, this person is asking me why. Okay, I won't know why because I didn't look at your documents. I don't know what your situation is, but okay, let me just finish the question. Was recently denied a UK visa. Why? Because I had all my documents complete. Okay. So this question is kind of way over me, because when you ask why, I really cannot help you with this. Folonshaw. Okay, so Mr. Folonshaw or Miss Folonshaw, whatever the case is, I really cannot help you with this question, but I think I would try to answer as best as I can. So you were recently denied a UK visa. I don't have the refusal notice, so I can't say why. You have the refusal notice, and I'm sure you read it. So you would be able to answer why more than I can do, because you have the privilege of seeing that notice. Okay, so, and then you say because you had all your documents complete. So it's not about documents. All your documents can be complete, but they might not be the right document. They might not be presented properly. I don't even know the documents you have. So Mr. Folonshaw, I really cannot help you with that question, because really, from the top of my head, I can't say why. I don't even know what kind of UK visa that you applied for, so I don't even know where we're starting from here. And unfortunately, I would have to skip this question, so I would skip to the next question. The next question was, what do they mean by ties when you apply for visas? Now, that's a good question. I love that part. So, yes. So, when I talk about ties simply means that you have something in your home country that, you know, will bring you back. Because when you apply for, unless you are applying for an immigrant visa, then nobody's saying anything about ties to your home country. But if you are applying for a non-immigrant visa generally is believed to be that you want to enter that country temporarily, just for a short period of time. So it might be like visitor visa, a tourist visa, a family visitor, a student visa, you know, just for a temporary period of time. So when they talk about ties to your home country, they need to understand that you have something worthwhile in your home country that you're coming back to. What is your home country? Your home country, I believe we are all Nigerians listening to this here. So I'm Nigerian. Nigeria is my home country. The country you are from, that's your home country. That's where you live at. So yes, if I'm trying to apply for a visa to a country now and they say, you know, I need to show or prove ties to my own country, there are different ways you can prove ties. There's family ties, there's social and economical ties, and there's work ties. Now for family ties, I always tell people, that's why you see a lot of Nigerian folks, Nigerian men, get into trouble, and a lot of them are in a mess right now with the Trump administration, because there was a time it was believed that if you go to the US embassy and you are not married or you're single, then you would not get the visa. Backstory: remember I said the first time I applied for the US visa was in 2007, and I did get the visa. I wasn't married. I didn't have any children. I only just finished law school, fresh out of school, just got a job. My Kotuba was in 2007 November, and I think I applied like 2006 November, and I think I applied 2007 August, because I remember I did go like September, so maybe like June, that's when I applied for that visa. And I get my visas. The first time my brother went, you know, he wasn't married to, and he got this visa. So a lot of Niger folks, especially the men, so they will just say, oh yes, they're married, like a way to prove ties, that okay, family ties, I've got a wife here in Nigeria, so that means I need to return back to my family. Meanwhile, they are looking to Japa. Then they get to the US, and then they want to do the arranged marriage, and then you find them saying that, oh, they're trying to get a divorce so they can marry, because it's going to be bigamy, which is a criminal offense punishable by 21 years in prison or something. Because you're legally married to someone, you cannot legally marry another person. So they need to get a divorce, and then they start getting into trouble when they are waiting to get their green card, because the US, out of 100 times, 98.9 out of 100 times, they always come back to your country to come and find out if your marriage is for real, the divorce papers you have provided, is it for real? And then, you know, you can just imagine okay, some people are even married for real, some are not, so you now try to do a divorce where the marriage never existed in the first place. And it's so messy. You see them get into a lot of trouble, and then they now say, oh, I applied 4 or 5 years ago. All I've been able to get is work authorization and my parole. I've not been able to get my green card. They've not even invited me for any interview. I've not done my medicals. That's because they're onto you. They're still investigating you, because in the last like 5-6 years, a lot of Nigerian men went to the US under the guise of being married when they were not, and then get into the US because they have to do their papers. They either want to marry for real or they want to pay for it as well, and then they get stuck because trying to prove family ties here, they said they were married. So yeah, it doesn't have to be marriage alone. You can prove family ties, your parents, your siblings. Like I said, when I, started traveling, I wasn't married and I was proving my ties. So yes, you can use your parents for work. Just show that you have, a good job waiting for you, and that already comes into play when you present all your letter of employment, your pay slip, your bank statement that shows that you're being paid every month and timely, all of that. So yeah, that's part of proving it. Then social and economic ties, if you have any kind of property, you have any project. In fact, I helped someone with a Schengen visa for Italy recently, and we put as far as his car document, his vehicle license. So yeah, it's part of proving that you have something here in Nigeria which is worth it, and you're coming back to, just to show that you're comfortable, you can afford this. So when they see that you're driving this car, it's under your name, you have this property, you have this project, it kind of shows. Even if your bank balance is not so healthy, that one shows it. So yes, that's what they mean by ties. It's just something to show that you have something worth your while, that you come back to your own country for. A lot of people might be able to prove ties and they still won't come back, because these jackpot people, maybe when they finish, they will start saying, oh, we want to sell our properties and all. But yeah, that's basically what they mean by you trying to prove ties, just to show that you have something that you're coming back to. Okay, I'm trying to see another question. A question I have here is, oh, okay. What kind of question should I expect from the U.S. Embassy? So yeah, there's no format, but there's some questions that is guaranteed they would ask you, just like if you go for any kind of interview. They will want to know a little more about you, obviously. So of course that has to do with maybe a little backstory about yourself and what you do and why you want to take that trip. So they would ask you, why you want to go to the US, why that state you're going to, what you do here, what you intend to do when you get there. It's just basic interview. But the questions might be twisted in some ways that you might not know that's what they're asking. And because it is a question that they always ask, they've heard so many responses to that story, they know it like the back of their hand. So you have to say something that would make you stand out. And when I talk about questions, the US visa officers, they are tired. They are interviewing hundreds of applicants daily. They don't even get time to say, okay, maybe I'm going to have some food. They might just get a sip of water here and there, and that's about it for the time that they're sitting at their booth to interview you. So once they ask you a question, make their life easier, make their job easier by just answering that question, and not just monosyllables is bad. Never ever. So this person that is asking the questions to expect from the US Embassy, I've said there are no questions to expect, just the basic, why the US, what do you do, why the States, do you have any family there, have you ever traveled out of your home country before? But then what you should do to help you is not even about the questions, really. Is how you should answer the question, or what you should do to help you. The way you answer your questions. So like I said, no monosyllables ever. So don't let them say, so I see you are a lawyer. Don't say yes and keep quiet. Or when they ask you, what do you do? Don't just say, I'm a lawyer, and keep quiet. Like I said, they're tired. Don't let them keep asking the questions over and over again. What I would do if I was in your shoes is, if they ask me, what do you do? I'll just answer maybe like 3 questions with that one question they've asked me. So I get asked now, I'm at the embassy, I'm facing the visa officer, and I get asked, what do you do? I just say, I'm a lawyer at I mention the name of where I work, and then I say, I'm a senior consultant, blah, 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 or I'm a senior partner at, what you do. So there, with that question, what do you do? I've already said that this is my profession. Then I mentioned my job, and then I mentioned what I do there. So I've saved the person interviewing me, so the person doesn't need to say, after the person has asked me, what do you do? And I say, I'm a lawyer. And then I keep quiet. And then the person says, oh, so where do you work? Then I say, oh, I work at so, and so, Bwega Edu and Co. And then I keep quiet. And then they will say, what do you do at Bwega Edu and Co? So rather, I'll just say, I'm a lawyer. I work with Bwega Edu and Co. And at Bwega Edu and Co. I'm a senior partner. I'm looking to make, you have already answered. You already said you work there. You already said you're a lawyer, you work there, and then you say what you do, your position. So they don't need to ask you all of that question. So that way, then I always say, if you don't hear the questions they've asked you, which is why it's great watching movies. You see a lot of people watching series. We can pause it, we can rewind it, we can subtitle it, and it's fun. But guess what? When you're having this interview, it's real life, guys. There's no subtitle. There's no rewinding. There's no pausing. They ask you the question, but the good thing about it is, if you do not hear that question, don't just go on and start babbling. Ask nicely for the question to be repeated. There's nothing wrong if you don't understand their accents. Nobody expects you to understand. And then don't go there and start forming one phoneme that is not working. Don't go and be saying, hey, the reason why I want to go is because... Don't even do that, because guess what? They are educated and you will never see them saying wanna gonna. We wanna gunners are the one that, we are trying. I just got back. I shan't agree. So don't go there and start, I wanna go to... Or you try to pronounce their country, even more, the US of A. I heard someone say that, and the person was like, and she was like, I beg your pardon. It was like, the US of A, the United States of America. I was laughing where I was. So imagine the person asking the question. I'm supposed to be nervous because it's going to be my turn soon. So imagine the person asking the question like, my country is called USA, or it's called the United States of America. Why are you saying the US of A? Just because you want to show that you have already done your research about my country. Don't try to speak any phony. Don't lie. Just be bold. If you don't understand what they're saying, speak in your own simple language, because guess what? They will understand your African accent better than you trying to form one English that is not working. So if you are trying to form this English now, can you borrow me something to say? I'm struggling here. Like, you're trying to answer a question. So, okay, maybe they say, and then when they ask you a question, never ever say, you mean me? You are the only person standing there at that booth having that interview. I've had a lot of people who say, oh, you mean me? You mean my job? No. Not who are they asking? Who else is with you? Unless you have your fairy godmother, or there's one ancestor that is blowing powder and asking them to give you that visa. It's just you and there's nobody else. So instead of saying, you mean me? It looks like you're trying to buy time. Just say, I'm sorry, can you please repeat that? It makes sense compared to, you mean me? You mean me? Even the person will be irritated. Like, it's not you. It's somebody else standing by you. So, yes, I think I'm running out of time here. So that means I might take up the questions from where I left off next week, if nothing else comes up. So, yeah, that will be all from me today. I'll be back here next week between the hours of 4 and 5 to talk to you about everything that has to do with travel, to conquer your fears and help you to travel. That will be all from me today. Take care and have a good week. Bye-bye.